Nobel Economics laureate Edward Prescott says the euro is doomed, banks are dinosaurs, and America will have a giant collapse much bigger than in 2008. Mr. Prescott, let's start with the euro. Why is it dead in the water?
If you have 4 children and give them all credit cards to go out and buy, but tell them that they have to behave responsibly, and one of them doesn't, what do you... It's not, there's going to be problems. And now you have to sort of cut off that, it's analogous to the subprime mortgage, which should not have been made. It was not beneficial to either side. But the government wanted to foster home ownership and pretty much set up a bad system. The problem was that the Germans and the French lent to somebody they should not have lent to, and somebody who should not be borrowing and should not have been borrowing. There should have been people monitoring the market. You should let like a corporation in the U.S., they have some big ones, and many have gone bankrupt, and the old people vote. The old people want a place to save. Yeah. So the French and German governments said, well, lend to the banks. And then the bank said, what are we going to do with all this money? And they said, well, you lend.
Why has Greece gone so badly wrong?
I think there's a good chance of defaulting. I do not think that'll be an economically major event. The disruption will be very short-lived. You know, some of the states in the United States went bankrupt in 1840. The federal government did not bail out the states. And there was not a major disruption in the output and employment. They may go bankrupt, default, and stay in the euro, but the euro may just completely collapse. So it's not, the advantage to having it seems to be more of a symbolic. It's true that it's convenient for tourists when they move between the states, but countries that did not enter the euro have done as well or better than those that did. It didn't seem to be a big positive benefit to the members. The ones that didn't join, you know, are Sweden, Denmark, and the United Kingdom.
What are the reasons why the euro has failed?
They're just retired at such a young age. They're just not and make promises to the citizens which you can't honor. That's bad, and of course people get upset when promises are not honored. Western Europe has no choice except to reform, and they have started to reform. The Swedes have effectively cut their tax rates. They've privatized their savings system along the lines of Australia. And this is an effective tax reduction. The amount that the Europeans are working has gone up a little bit. They've raised the retirement age. They're a little bit slow in phasing some of this in.
There's very little discussion of how you actually leave the euro. As an economist, are you saying could you lay out the steps?
You have to issue some of your own currency. There will be debts determined in Europe, and that will in the euros to people in other countries, and there'll be a lot of legal actions to settle them when countries default. I suspect the Greek businesses have gotten their money, a lot of it, out of Greece and into euro accounts in more stable countries.
Brussels is using this crisis to grab more powers from national governments. How does that make things even worse?
The danger is centralization. China, from about 1,000 to 1,300, was the richest country, the most advanced. They had done much better than Europe, and they were by far the leader. But then under the Ming Dynasty, they got centralized, and then they started preserving the status quo. The provinces lost their power. The organized